back to the Press Club. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Earl Bousquet, Clinton Reynolds here. Just a couple of things. 2013 Atlantic hurricane season, there's always a forecast with climate change for increasingly bad hurricane seasons. And I think we learned from Hurricane Thomas that we need to prepare, because we were woefully unprepared for Hurricane Thomas. So, I mean, hurricane season opened up on June 1st. That was last Saturday. So,
well, climate has changed, and it has changed so much that we get, you know, we never know what's going to happen next. The rain, which we've been seeing, the rains, the water, the floods, the speed with which the city floods. I would simply say, take the Deputy Prime Minister's advice, watch the rains, and clean the drains.
Well said. So let's move on to Carnival. Preparations in full gear. I mean, Carnival comes by so quickly. Once jazz is gone, you just see that time just racing forward. The launch, was it last weekend or is it coming up? I'm not a big Carnival.
No, well, there was, no am I.
There was a launch. There was a launch
there
on
was
Tuesday.
The press launch.
Yeah, there was a press
there
launch.
Was a press
I knew
launch,
I was right about that.
At which I think it was said that there was not going to be the usual Mindu Philip Park launch. And there have been people complaining about that aspect of it. I grew up far from the crowd because my mother always taught me, or maybe that was her economic way of justifying not putting her sons in a band. She told us, listen, if we join a band, we're not going to see the rest. So, you know, go stand up one place out of a band and you'll see everything. And I've never joined a band since then.
Yeah, your mother is a smart woman. Huh?
Yeah, but I think Carnival, you know, the other thing is McLuey, former PS public service, saw me with my motorcycle gear yesterday and he said, Bousquet, hey, you're in a hurry for Juve, man. You know, he thought I was doing Carnival. He didn't know I ride.
He didn't know you were a serious rider.
No, he didn't. He didn't know I've also paid the cost that serious riders pay for. I'm not being serious on the bike. But coming back to Carnival, I think, Clinton, that we need to take Carnival to the next phase. I think the jump and wine thing, you know, rum, jump and wine thing, we need to take it to another phase. Carnival has become less clothes on you, more whining kind of a thing. We don't have mass camps like before, where costumes were made, where people labored preparing and building costumes. We purchased second-hand costumes from Trinidad and Tobago. We're glad that our Carnival is not the same time as Trinidad, so we could and now we hear calls for removal of VAT.
I heard that, and I found that was so.
I don't know. When I heard that,
tell me what you thought.
When I heard the former Minister of Education and Culture, St. James, calling for removal of VAT on Carnival because it's killing poor people, it also reminded me that for the first time in my life, I've heard of a very enterprising financial institution in St. Lucia which is offering loans for Carnival costumes. And you know, this is the same community in which people are complaining about VAT. But the cost of a VIP costume is even more than the cost of a VIP cell phone. You know, and the people complaining about VAT when it comes to Carnival jump Carnival with their VIP costumes and their VIP
take
telephones.
Their loans, and then they cannot send their children to school in September.
Well, you know, and the government is giving $500 per child, you know, so they may have some encouragement.
I was so disappointed, I'll tell you, Earl, when I heard that, removing
VAT from Carnival.
Now, it might be my position as far as not being too involved with Carnival. And saying too involved is a stretch, you know, because I'm not involved in Carnival at all. But something as discretionary as Carnival, something where you spend $1,000 for 3 or 4 days, you know, especially for poor people, as the former minister put it. I mean, if you are a poor person and you have to think about your day-to-day living, why in heaven's name would you be thinking about joining a band when there's so many important priorities that you have to consider? You know, and this is how we get our priorities all skewed. You know, where you're encouraging people to join bands, you're giving loans for Carnival costumes that will last you all of 2 days, well, all of 1 day, because at the end of the first day, these things are all over the street, litter in the street, you know, and
those pieces of cloth.
Well, the small pieces of cloth and headgear. And then in September, it's the same people who want to come to you, who come to me and say, oh, I couldn't send my child to school because I couldn't afford bus fare. You know, I don't know what to say about it, but I have a serious issue with it.
Yeah,
and
well,
to me,
all of these
all of these
things, I think now the Catholic Church will tell you that it's worse because Carnival has been removed from Lent, and that has had the deleterious effect of making Lent less popular, so that people don't even know when it's Ash Wednesday anymore. Yeah. That is another debate. But I really honestly think, St. Lucia, that Carnival, as we observe it, needs to move to another phase. And maybe we've had the same people running and organizing Carnival for too long, and therefore, you know, it becomes a repeat every year of what happened last year. It didn't happen good last year, so let's do it again this year. It didn't happen good last year, so let's try better this year. I think after Carnival, and not before the next Carnival, but immediately after Carnival, when we are having those reviews, it should not just be a review of what has just happened, but it should also be a preview of what we think the next one should be.
So I can't preview what is going to happen next week because our show is based on what has happened for the past week, and we don't make the news, we just report on it. That's all the time we have, unfortunately. On behalf of Earl Bousquet, I'm Clinton Reynolds, the rest of the team, thank you very much for joining us for this edition of the Press Club, and we invite you to join us again next week at the same time for another program. Before that, I'll be here on Wednesday, God willing, for Newsmaker Live, 8:30 p.m. Wednesday night, where I'll have a special guest and we'll discuss a topical issue in our society. Until that time, have a good one.